everybody. Good morning or good afternoon, whichever it is for you. I don't know if you're watching us in the morning or the afternoon, but I have a new friend with us here today. It is Isabella Mayfield's sister, Gertrude Seaweed. Yes? Would you like to say hi to the boys and girls? Well, I'm a little uncomfortable with all this videotaping stuff, but I'll try. Good morning, boys and girls. Well, good. That's a good job. Yeah, I'm not used to all this fancy schmancy stuff. I'm used to being outside in my garden, beekeeping and everything. Well, I think that's a good idea to tell them a little bit about yourself today. Well, my name is Gertrude Seaweed. I'm Isabella Mayfield's sister. I think you've met her before. We have met her before. We really like her. She's one of our favorite people. Well, oh my. She can be something, I should say. Manners, manners, manners. That's all that lady ever talks about. She's so prim and proper. She is. She's been teaching us a lot of stuff that we have been learning about good manners and having good manners at our school. Well, good manners are important, but my, oh my, she's a little prissy thing. Well, she's very prim and proper. Very, very prim and proper. Not me. I'm outside, wear my bandanas. I was noticing your bandana. It looks really nice. Yeah, usually I'm in my farm clothes. I kind of dressed up for the kids today. And, well, what else? Well, I play bingo at Harvey's Bingo Hall on Monday nights. You play bingo? I love it. I'm so good. I win every time. How can you win bingo every time? Because I'm good at it. Well, bingo's not necessarily something you're good at. Isn't it usually like whatever they draw out, you just get lucky? Well, I don't think so. I'm just really good at it, and I get the perfect cards, and we win all the time. My good friends Evelyn, Maud, and Mildred, we play every Monday night, and sometimes we have Claude and Walter, and of course Harvey, because he owns the place. Well, that's a fun thing to do. Yeah, we hoot and holler, have a great time down there. And, well, I'm a beekeeper. Do y'all know what a beekeeper is? Beekeeper is, wait, just a minute. Do I have spinach in my teeth? No, I don't see any spinach in your teeth. Are you sure? I had a spinach salad for lunch. Nope, no spinach in your teeth. Just a minute. All right, where was I? Well, oh yeah. I'm a beekeeper, and I have 15 hives so far that I take care of. And it's quite a job out there. I'll have to tell you about it sometime. Well, that's a good thing to talk about. And so you play bingo every Monday night, yep. And you are a beekeeper. Yeah, that takes a lot of my time. But I sure would like to come in and talk with you all. I'm not quite sure about all this technology stuff. My goodness, jumping Jehoshaphat, the times are moving fast for me. Well, they are kind of moving fast, even for me. Mrs. Colby's had a lot of things to figure out. I can imagine. Well, I was wondering if do you want to stay while I read the story, or do you want to head off and I'll put you over there in the rocking chair? Well, I might sit a spell in the rocking chair and listen to you if you don't mind. Well, I don't mind at all. I like the feather in your hat. Oh my gosh. I found it on the ground when I was walking. Well, I was actually riding the tractor and I saw it on the ground, so I hopped off to get over and pick it up. My goodness. Creeping crawdads. It's been quite a day so far. Well, I think I'll put you over in the rocking chair because we're going to read a story now. That sounds wonderful. Are you all right doing that? Oh, sure. What are you reading? We're going to read Pete and Pickles today. That's a really good story. Well, that sounds like a mighty fine one. Well, I'll be talking to all you youngins a little bit later. Well, maybe tomorrow or the next day. When am I going to talk to them? Well, you can come on anytime you want to and tell us about, I think the kids would love to learn about some of your beekeeping things. What is a beekeeper and how do you not get stung? And, well, I get stung plenty. You do? Yep. Well, I don't know if I would like doing that. I do think beekeepers are cool, though. Well, you got to wear your beekeeping outfit. Yeah. And you wear a little hat, and it keeps them mostly off you. But once in a while, you do get a little sting, sting, sting. All right. Well, I'm telling you, I enjoyed talking to you today. I enjoyed talking to you, too. And I bet we will see you another time. You better believe it. All right, boys and girls. See you later. All right, let me sit you over here in the rocking chair. Right over here, you can rock away. Yes. No, not too far. You don't want to walk. No, don't rock that much. You're going to tip over backwards. Gertrude. Oh, jeez. Well, we'll just see what happens over there. Oh my gosh, she's rocking like the wind. Well, I hope you enjoyed meeting Gertrude. That's Isabella's sister. Remember, she did say she was a bit of a firecracker. So I guess we're getting to see that. But she's very interesting, I'm telling you. When she starts telling you some stories about her Monday night bingo, you are going to want to tune in because they are hilarious. Every Monday night they go, I think it's like old people's bingo. But they have a great time, and they are just hilarious. So anyway, our story today is called Pete and Pickles. And I love this story. They become two really wonderful friends. It's written by Berkeley, it looks like. Berkeley? Breathed. That is a tricky name, Berkeley Breathed. And look on the back for a blip. We don't really see anything. We always want to look at the front of our book to see if there's anything that kind of triggers anything in our connections that we're making. I do know about elephants. I do know some things about pigs. But that's about all that's coming for me. What about you? I don't know. All right, here we go. Pete and Pickles. Pete was a perfectly predictable pig. He was also a perfectly practical pig and a perfectly uncomplicated pig. Being all of those perfect things, Pete might have run for the hills if he'd known what was coming that night. Well, the storm arrived first. Pete cut the evening's fun off early and went to bed to get the nightmare out of the way. The same terrifying, watery nightmare all pigs dream during stormy nights, for pigs are known for doing only one thing well in the water. Oh gosh. And that is drowning. And that is exactly what Pete dreamt he was doing when a sudden sound woke him up. Poor guy, having the same nightmare every night. That is an interesting thought, whether pigs can swim. It sounds like they cannot. The window was open. Pete pulled the lamp switch. Nothing happened. He had an odd feeling. Pigs are very smart this way. That something was a little bit wrong. And look in his bedroom. Can you see over here? Up against the wall. Oh my goodness. The pages are sticking. Pete was suddenly grabbed, hugged really, by a wet nose at the other end of which was a wet elephant. The beast whispered, "Shh." She said nothing else, but her eyes spoke clearly. "Help me." Then there was a knock at the door. A clown asked Pete if he'd seen any sign of an escaped elephant named Pickles. "There, under the couch. Look carefully," Pete said. As the circus man led the sad, slumping elephant away, Pete was startled when she looked back at him and smiled. So he didn't even help her when she said, "Please help me." The next morning, Pete was disinfecting his house when he noticed his midnight visitor had left behind a gift. Dandelions. And look at the picture. All of the pictures seem to be really gloomy looking, and suddenly there's a little bright color in it. Ridiculous, thought Pete as he scrubbed. That afternoon, Pete took his usual stroll. He looked down at the evening mist rolling in, and he saw a circus tent. He looked at his dandelions. "Ridiculous," he muttered. Today, however, Pete decided to take a longer walk. Where do you think he's going? My little brain's saying, I bet he's going to the circus tent. Well, he soon found himself amongst the circus tents, watching a long nose plucking every dandelion within its reach. Pete knew that nose, and it knew him. It plucked Pete's hat and disappeared. Seconds before Pete called the police, his hat was pushed back out, much improved. And look, when his hat came back, it's covered with little dandelions. What does this tell you about the elephant? Mean elephant? Nice elephant? Sweet elephant? What does that action tell you? I think so too. I think it tells me that he's a really sweet person. Pete looked in to see Pickles sitting in a very dark corner of a very dark tent, wearing a very locked chain. Pete suddenly, inexplicably, found himself reaching for the key. I don't know if you can see, it's kind of dark, but look at that sad look on his face. He looks like he's just locked up in the circus. Now, free and outside, Pickles dove to hide while a panicked Pete whispered, "Tea was on my schedule today, not elephants." Being a practical pig, however, he knew they needed a disguise. Something, anything. Pete thought fast. It worked. Too well. A policeman suggested they go to dinner. Look how they dressed him up to get him out of there. Well, they reached Pete's house by nightfall. A weary Pickles retired after making herself comfortable in a pair of Pete's favorite pajamas. Understand this. You may not have heard snoring until you've had an elephant nap on your couch. Pete was a perfectly unpleased pig. Tomorrow, he thought, the big girl leaves. Pete awoke the next day to find Pickles doing a little morning Tai Chi, as if she were in China, which she certainly was not. But on the other hand, Pete noted that his house guest had made a few changes on the grounds. This time, Pete did not say ridiculous. Look at her doing her Tai Chi. But look what else she's been doing over here. A little bit of brightening around the place. Later that morning, Pete experienced the goosebumpily joy of a back scrubbing with his newspaper and coffee. He also discovered the limits of his bathtub. Look, he doesn't quite fit in there. Pickles showed Pete a magazine article about high diving. She pointed to both of them. "Ridiculous," Pete said. "Pigs and elephants will sink like bricks." Pickles smiled. After lunch, they would swan dive off of Niagara Falls. So look, she's giving him a little back scrub in the bathtub. Now she's saying, "Hey, why don't we go skydiving?" But Pete is such a practical pig, I think he would not think of doing that. He likes everything orderly and just the same every day. Pickles, on the other hand, seems like she likes a little bit of adventure in her life. And they did. Well, sort of. And look, here they are in a little pond that they found, jumping off the top. On Tuesday, they sledded down the Matterhorn in Switzerland. Well, sort of. Pete was learning that Pickles had lots of plans for them. Look at, here they are sailing down. Not quite coming up a mountain, but the closest that they could get in their little backyard. So now we know Pickles is very kind. She gives flowers and takes care of him, gives him a back rub. We know that she's taken him on all these kind of adventures. So we're learning that Pickles is a little bit of an adventurous person in her personality. On Sunday, they went to Tahiti for brunch. Pickles, as always, shared her tropical refreshments with the natives. After Paris, it was on to lazy canals in Venice. Pete did not know any romantic Italian songs, which didn't stop him from singing them. Pickles sniffed a fragrant Venetian lily and shared it with Pete in a manner that nicely suited for elephants and pigs. I guess she blew it right in his nose. Look at all these different things she's having him do. I think Pete is starting to like it. Look at him just singing away. He doesn't even know any of those songs. I think maybe he's starting to change a little bit. Well, it was when Pete returned home one evening and found ballet tryouts from Moscow, soaring pair of cows over Tuscany, and house painters on his roof that his thoughts turned to his earlier life. It used to be a less complicated life, said Pete. Look at all the things Pickles has going in the yard. Soon after, Pete discovered Pickles getting into things she shouldn't have been into. He snapped. Oh, look, here's a little suitcase that says Paprika. I wonder who Paprika is, getting into little outfits. I am a predictable, practical, uncomplicated pig. Or I was before, he yelled. A shocked Pickles fell back into the bathtub. The last words she remembered hearing were the worst. And it's time you probably left. Uh-oh, our practical, predictable pig has had it with Pickles and all her fun little shenanigans. Something broke. A pipe gushed water in a spewing torrent. The house filled with a panicky Pete screaming, "Pickles! The mop! The buckets! The sponges! Never mind! Head for high ground!" Pete worried that the high ground would run out. And as a matter of fact, looks like they broke a water pipe. Uh-oh. Look how the book turned. Can you see the picture? The water's gone up and up and up and up. And what is Pete's worst nightmare? That he will drown in the water. But look at Pickles. She's standing on her highest chair. She's stretching as long as she can. And she's got her nose up as high as it will go so Pete can get up to the air. It did go up. And when all the snouts and snoots in the now flooded house were fully stretched to their very furthest reach, only one had found the refuge of sweet air. Only one of them can get up to the top to get air. And look at what Pickles is doing. She's letting Pete be the one to get up there. I'm a little worried though. Pete clung tightly to the last open window. He looked back down to face the one far too heavy to join him, and he noticed once again, as always, she was smiling. Aw, he'd been so mean to her, and suddenly she was the one that lifted him up to the air. At that terrible moment, what occurred to Pete was not how his life had become so unpredictable, so unpractical, and so completely complicated with Pickles. No, what occurred to Pete was his life without her. The endless night that would be the longest of all their great journeys. And when the fireman finally climbed to the window the next morning, he couldn't believe what he found. Uh-oh. And notice the dark and gloomy illustration, because it's a dark and gloomy mood, and it's a dark and gloomy thing that was happening to our characters. Probably the saddest of all things, to leave Pickles behind. Look what they found when they got back. He found a very small pig breathing for a very large elephant all night, every hour, every minute, every breath they shared. When they finally emptied the house, the firemen looked down in puzzlement at the exhausted pair of sleeping friends. They tried, but they could not pull Pete from the mighty grasp of Pickles. The two slept all day, through the night, and into the next morning. Look at how sweet this is. Pete would go up, get a big breath of air, and come down and breathe for Pickles. And they breathed that way the whole night until the firefighters came. That is a loyal friend. And on the next page, when they came the next morning, They couldn't get Pete out of Pickle's grasp. Sometimes things happen in life that make you become fast friends with someone, and I think this might be one of those things for them, where they will be fast friends forever. These are the slipperiest little pages. The next morning, they awoke to pick blueberries on the dandelion moons of Pluto. Pete sang them Italian love songs. Now look at the illustration. I think Pete has had a big change of heart. I think he's found that he has a really terrifically wonderful friend, and that he really doesn't like his practical life being the same all the time and uncomplicated, and that Pickles really did add a lot, and she just really loves him. So look at him off on new adventures. I wish I could be there. I think Pickles would be a great person to hang out with. And that is the end of Pete and Pickles. Two very good friends that became friends, two very different people that when they came together, they found that their differences made each other even better. So one of my very favorite stories about friendship and finding friends sometimes in unexpected places if you just opened your mind and let them in. Okay. Well, it was fun meeting Gertrude today. She is quite a character. I cannot wait to have her come on and tell us some more of her adventures and stories because she has many. And that's it. So I will see you tomorrow. Can't wait for another story. And this week it's going to be, I do have a new friend coming on, Puff. I don't know if you remember Puff from last year, but she's my little rabbit. She doesn't talk, but she's so sweet and so wonderful, and I think you will enjoy her. And we're going to read a few Easter stories in this coming week. Okay, I will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.